Hello, welcome to the Standout Agency podcast. I'm Gareth Healy, and I'm an ex-agency owner. I run my agency of 15 years, quite a big agency, 12.5 million revenue, 175 people. And I left that business, I exited 9 years ago, and since then I've been advising and consulting with other agency owners as a non-exec director and advisor.
My name is Callum Healy. I am a recent psychology graduate of last year and pivoted to the science of the machine mind rather than just the human mind. We now work together at Agents of Change and thought that a podcast is a great way of getting a bit more of a personal feel rather than looking at text on blog posts and LinkedIn all the time. I made the pivot to AI, and I help the same target market embed AI into their operating model. And that operating model that we use and talk about so much is STANDOUT, and that is the topic of today's discussion.
It certainly is. Callum, you were mentioning some stats earlier on about podcasts and the amount of people that don't get past the first. Remind me what those stats are, because this is the first episode.
Well, we know that all statistics are made up. That's a fact in itself, and I can't quite remember what they are, but something along the lines of most podcasts after the first episode die out, something like 70, 80%. 3 episodes, it's even 95%. Most of them, I think it's like only 0.01% of podcasts make it past the 20th episode. So as you can see, we're here on a settee upstairs in Gareth's office right now. We thought, instead of having a great studio, booking one out and making it overly planned, the value is in what we're going to say and what we're going to discuss. And I think a major topic is the fact that we say stand out and stand still all the time, as it's the framework we use.
Yeah.
But people don't know what it is and why it's important.
Some people don't know if they don't work with us. So our business is Agents of Change, isn't it? But we do talk about stand out. So
Yeah.
I guess Callum's only recently joined the business. I've been doing this, as I said earlier, 9 years now, and I've sort of created that theme. But why not start with that? Let's talk about that.
Exactly. Okay. So we have.
What do I know?
What do I want to know? Many things, and I almost think I am the second most knowledgeable person of the standout system in the world.
That's very true.
Gareth was the creator. Yeah. In the past year, I've been using it in every client interaction I've ever had. It's been a nice system to introduce me to the agency world. Yeah. And we have the book here that you wrote in which year?
I wrote this 2021. I wrote it during COVID, actually, but published in 2021. Standout or Die is the genesis of this stuff. But that's that book still exists and sells reasonably well on Amazon, of course.
And it's available to buy for anyone curious, and we will delve into what it involves in this discussion. Yeah. And so you wrote the book, was it 2021, you say?
Published in 2021.
Published in 2021. Yeah. That started with a framework, and it was almost the synthesis of the last 30 years or 25 years of experience that you had. Before it was this official standout framework, what made you create this system? Why do you think it was important? What did you see happening with agencies at the time?
Yeah. That's a great question. I've worked in agencies all my career. It is getting on for 30 years now. It wasn't at the time of the book, but a long time. And I always wanted to write a business book, and never thought I would. I have now, which is a great thing to tick off the list. But as I got into, when I left my business, I exited my agency. I suppose the genesis of Standout was I left my agency, which was a very successful agency, and after leaving it and looking at other things post-exit I was going to do, I started helping a friend of mine with his business, small business, not an agency, completely different business. And he asked me if I could help him with, he had a website, but he wanted to improve it and wanted to get more into digital marketing at the time.
Yep.
He asked me if I could help out. And I thought, well, you know what, Mike is called, you've picked the perfect person, because I've been in agencies all my life, and I can do it. So I'm the perfect person to do this, find you an agency, not do the work. And I realised just how hard it was on the other side of the fence to analyse, to source. Well, you can find agencies, but is it the right one? Are they going to do what did they do what I need? Are they going to do what they say? Why is this agency different from that agency? And those guys sound good, but they're double the price of these guys, and they seem good, but they're. And I just realised, wow! It suddenly struck me. It struck me like a thunderbolt. This is a really hard thing because there's so many agencies out there.
And so the trend that you saw was someone wanted a specific thing done for them, a specific task. A group of specialists in a certain field in agency work. But this was hard to actually come across because a large part of your book, of course, I read it and operated within the system this past year and long before that. It's all about focus, defining what it is you actually do and who you help.
Yeah.
And am I right in saying that a big trend is that it's better to appeal and be the best in a smaller market? A lot of agencies try and appeal to everyone. Even the agencies I've worked with so far, they do many different tasks and many different fields, different sectors in their agency. That has implications for founder control because it's hard to keep track of what's going on in different sectors. But it's a sense of, if you're a jack of all trades, then you're a master of none. That's a common phrase. It's like, it's better to be best at one of those things. And let's say, so you're the person who asked for an agency in your network. Do you remember what it was, the task, the specific task?
I do actually, and I agree with what you just said. But actually, Mike at the time, he wasn't asking for anything particularly unusual or particularly
wasn't too unique.
Taxing, no. And this was, well, I mean, it wasn't before AI. It was before people started talking about AI, of course, at that period, about 2018, something like that. And but it was after basic stuff, website stuff. But your point. I came across so many people that I knew some people I knew, some people I didn't, that were offering sort of broad range of services that say they could do the job. It wasn't a particularly taxing thing or a particularly interesting thing, really. But I thought, who's right for Mike? Who's right for this guy? And I thought I would easily navigate that, and I couldn't. And so I used that as the point was as the genesis of my book, and the point was. To say, if there's 26,000 or more or plus agencies today in the UK, the latest research says, I think it's probably that's research, that is factual research, and it's probably more than that. It seems to be an agency starting up every week. And that's fine, but it's so hard to navigate between them, and also. If you're operating an agency, so back on our side of the fence now and helping agencies run them, not people finding agencies, but helping agencies to run and build their businesses. It's, if you're gonna operate in that market as it was, but particularly now with AI, of course, or the use of AI, making things even more competitive, making things even more. Easier to set up an agency, even to set a business offering agency services.
Completely. So
it's a very tough and saturated market. So the idea of the book was, and the title was to say, you've got to stand out, or you die, or you're going to wither, or certainly not grow your business. And if it was true, well, it was true then. If it's true then, it's certainly true now, 4 or 5 years.
It's a great point, and Stand Out or Die is obviously the iconic title of the book here. Even in the future, I'm thinking Stand Out with AI would be a beautiful title. You mentioned the AI market is something that's approaching everyone. It's a hot topic. And
you've got to write that book now, don't you? Now you've committed it to camera.
Maybe that's why I'm doing it. It's social proof and pressure that I need to then do this. Who knows, people might catch on and say, maybe give me the nudge that I need.
Somebody might get there before you.
Yeah, well, true. I might want to trademark that name. But with my experience of AI, it makes things quicker. You get outputs faster. And so for a lot of these startup agencies, or even agencies that have been established for a long time, the tendency is for someone to go, right, we can do all this stuff now. AI's here, we can do it faster. So we have more capacity. We can help more people. But would you say in your book that's counterintuitive, and that perhaps it's better to use AI to accelerate one domain and be the best at it? Because if I had someone like you had in your past of asking who can get me a great website launched and who's the best person to go to, if I saw an agency that did website, they did copywriting, social media, PR, etc., perhaps there's 6 more of those, and they claimed that they were the best at them all, team of 50, 10 per sector, etc., And then there was another agency that had 50 people, but they all did web design. And they were the best web designers in the industry for, let's say, do you remember what industry your client was in, what he needed marketing for?
He was in employment law.
Employment law. So we're the best employment law website designers in the business.
Yeah.
And if I had to choose one of those, I would go for the latter because it feels more personalised, because it is. That's what I need.
Yeah.
But if you try appeal to everyone, that personalisation fades. Yeah. And I think it's less compelling.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So that is there's the core of the book, Stand Out or Die, is around that. It's about positioning, really, which we talk about a lot in our consultancy work with agencies, and is key to the and often a missed opportunity or a missed part of the agency operating model, where for some reason, even though many of these agencies, not all, do a lot of work on marketing strategy and help their clients with positioning, it is a common known issue, and this is what I write about a lot in the book. You just described it very well there, Callum. That agencies are very poor at positioning themselves, have been in the past, and certainly are now. And if it was important then, which I believe it was 4 or 5 years ago, when I wrote this book, it's certainly more important now, because there's so many agencies, and AI, and not just agencies, people are now, individuals are now using AI to provide, services to, like the agencies used to do, using AI, and not even being companies, really. Well, they might be companies, but they're individuals rather than a team of 10 or 20. It's just 1 or 2 people now.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the cobbler's children have no shoes. Ever since I learnt that phrase, it's in the back of my mind on every client call. It's something that I've noticed that one of the biggest weaknesses within marketing agencies, counterintuitively, is marketing for themselves.
Yes, yeah.
They are great at defining their client's positioning and brand strategy.
Yeah.
But no one wants to do the same thing for 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
You've got 8 hours, you've burnt up all of that field of kind of expertise. It gets stale.
Yeah.
You might neglect that in yourself. And so it's an important thing for the marketing of your own agency to be as good as what you do for your clients.
That's right. I think there's also a factor on the agency's historic lack of ability to position themselves, to form their own strategy, and in some ways to deliver their own marketing. I think there's an aspect of it. You might have a psychology term for this, but it's very hard to see from the inside. Yeah. That's why agencies, a big reason why some of these more strategic marketing agencies exist, because they go to clients. The clients know the business. The clients know what they should be doing, but they don't have that external perspective. So that's why agencies struggle. That's why often agencies call me and to work with them, because they usually know what a lot of the things they need to do, but they need somebody externally to give them the confidence, give them the assurance, reassurance that stuff that they're focusing on is right, and also some people to hold them to account. Whereas that's what I do in general, but in marketing the agency, there's nobody to hold people to account. So it always gets pushed down the line. The client work gets more important. It's the cobbler's shoes. Cobbler makes a load of shoes. Yeah. He's that busy making shoes that they don't make them for the.
And it's a great point, and that's kind of why advisory is so valuable for agencies as a whole, because I've noticed just by studying psychology, doing my own kind of introspection, observing other people rarely notice their own strengths and weaknesses. And the best way that you can determine what your next move should be, or what your talents are, and where you need to improve as a character, is by asking the people closest to you, to your friends and your family. In this case, it's someone who is in day-to-day operations, works alongside you, sees the truth, but is almost a mirror. You have that sort of analogy that you can hold up a mirror to a client because you work with them. You're outside of the business, and in that way, less emotionally invested in the business, emotionally invested in the client, of course, because you want to do the best job you can. But a lot of agencies, it can be their baby, their prized possession. And of course, that many of them are so great, but sometimes there's a few weaknesses or a few things that can slip by, even if it's strengths, not just weaknesses. There can be things like this is completely your next path. Are you not seeing this?
You don't maximise that strength. Yeah.
There's a lot of things to be said about people finding what career they should do, where they should, to their friends and family, their strengths are obvious.
Yeah.
There's no doubt you should do this thing. You constantly talk about it and act upon that skill set all the time.
AI, maybe.
AI, well, there you go. I mean,
Yeah.
It's the same in anything. I guess you can, if you're sort of emerged in one industry or a bubble, we'll call it, you can kind of disregard your own skill and what you're good at because you see all the people in that bubble also doing so well and forget that most of the population isn't within the bubble. You know, it's good to take a step out and have someone look from the outside and tell you the truth of what's actually going on rather than your own kind of bias to everything.
Totally, yeah. You see things every day, or you work within a certain way and see a sphere every day, and you just don't see things. It's maybe some people might say it's a silly little story, but I noticed this in all walks of life, and we had we are in the process of selling this house, aren't we?
Yep.
So I had an estate agent round actually is more of a property consultant than an estate agent. So I had that guy around, and he came round and he said, "Oh, beautiful house, gave us all what we needed. It's got a few pointers for you though, just before you put it up for sale." And it was just silly things like cosmetic things, but he mentioned we put some more gravel on the drive. The gravel on the drive was a bit thin.
You don't notice, do you?
And I've not really noticed that. But
we see it every day.
Yeah, because we're just driving it every day, and it looks a bit thin. It looked needed a bit of a, more gravel, but improve the house. The look of the house, the curb appeal was a bit damaged. Nothing wrong with just not enough gravel. So he said, put another. So we were both shoveling gravel, but the point is, I not really noticed that. When he mentioned it, I thought, you know what? Yeah.
You need an outward opinion. It's like when your children are growing up. So when I was growing up, I obviously don't have children yet, but you don't notice how quickly they grow.
Yeah.
You do, but not in the same effect as a grandma or a granddad would.
Yeah. You don't see them enough.
You bring a child who's in a growth spurt round to the grandparents. 6 months have passed and they've doubled in height. And they're like, "Oh, you've got so tall and you look so big and strong." But the parent doesn't see that because it's every day.
Yeah.
We have a puppy who's about a year old now. He's a whippet. He's grown very quickly, but because we saw him every single day, you're less prone to noticing the change. Like the gravel on the driveway, we see it every day. So it's not something that we're quite consciously aware of how it changes over time. So to lead on from that discussion, my next question, people might be thinking, okay, stand out, that's okay, focus, that makes sense. What does it actually mean? So we've got the system. Spoiler alert, it is an acronym.
Yeah. And
you are the creator of this beautiful acronym. So if you give our listeners a little overview of that.
Yeah. So this book was intended as a guide, really, a help book for agencies to improve. And as in the process of writing it, I came up with this idea, this dynamic of stand still, stand out, to illustrate, essentially at its core, I guess, good and bad, or bad and good. Stand still, bad. Stand out.
It's good for analogies and comparisons. People may have seen on our LinkedIn. This is where they're seeing the podcast from.
To compare. So, but good and bad isn't totally true, because standstill agencies are not bad businesses by any means. They're just maybe hit a plateau, or maybe there's certain things like the drive that they've just let go a little bit, and they need to improve. So they're not. So good and bad didn't work. So I came up with this stand still, stand out. Because standstill the plateauing thing is a thing. People get to a certain level and need to get to the next level, which is obviously a thing. But the stand out, stand still dynamic, I started talking about that, which just to illustrate the points. And stand out is many things really, but people often misconstrue it as being just about in its true sense of the word, differentiation, standing out in a crowd, doing something completely different. And that's not strict. That's not always the case. That's not how I see it in 100% of the time. Sometimes that's relevant, but it's not always the case.
Would you say that it's true that a standstill agency could be doing objectively better than a standout agency, But Standstill and Standout are a way of describing their trajectory rather than their current position.
Yeah, that's a good thing, yeah.
So you could have an agency doing 10 mil revenue a year, but they've plateaued.
Yes, yeah.
They want to grow, but they're not anymore,
yeah.
which means they're standstill.
Yeah.
An agency are doing 500k a year on year. They could be aiming to double that.
Yeah.
So they'd be standout. The agency above would be standstill.
Yeah.
So it's not a derogatory term. It's not good or bad in the sense of objective truth about the reality of what's going on. It's more truth about the direction in the future.
Direction, yeah. Totally, no, that's a great point. And the standstill, standout dynamic was designed to sort of help people understand, okay, you know, if you're in that position of standstill, do this to get to stand out. If you're doing that, you stand still. If you're doing that, then you stand out.
It's nice for those comparisons.
Just to use those comparisons. So people sometimes see themselves, people read our posts and often comment to me and say, when you put that standstill, stand out post the other day, that standstill stuff, that's really us. That's really our, we need to sort that out.
That's the mirror in this case, isn't it? You tell people where they might be and then how they can improve.
So that happens a lot. But equally, people also say, you know, the post you made, the stand out, when you made that point about stand out, we're doing that. Well, we've started doing that. But that's really helping us. So that's good.
It's not clear cut, is it? It's like a spectrum.
It isn't clear cut, a spectrum.
They could be stand out in 4 of the pillars.
Totally, yeah.
Standstill in the other 4, which is how we like to diagnose and audit the clients that we work with first, to prioritise which areas we need to sort of amplify, either with that advisory guidance of the whole agency and their operations, or using this same framework as I do and helping agencies amplify certain areas using AI, doing more of what makes them so great.
Yeah, totally. So the pillars, you mentioned them there, Callum.
Yeah.
Because it is multifaceted, this thing. In the book, there is 7 pillars in a sort of diagram there, all beginning with P. And that is, it covers people and processes and profit for financial. So there's 7 pillars for P. Since I wrote this, with Callum's help, we've refreshed that framework, that system. So there's now 8 pillars, and the acronym for standout, as Callum mentioned. So it's the same principle. At some point, I may refresh update this book and include that. But the second version 2 of that model, the standout agency system, is 8 pillars. It's on the website, but it's basically. Shall I go through the?
Just before we do that, I thought when you were describing that to me, I've noticed that service-based businesses have that tendency to reinvent the wheel quite a lot. And this is an example. Yeah. It's a healthy thing to do in a lot of ways. Yeah. Sometimes it can be overdone. With what I do with AI, when you start embedding processes into the standout system, and we use that to diagnose and then prioritize certain initiatives, AI doesn't have that same expertise and nuance as someone in your team would. So 5 people could do the task differently, but you trust their expertise enough to get it done. AI is an alien in this sense, that you need to hold its hand through the entire thing. And a lot of the times people, rather than reinventing the wheel doesn't exist to begin with. That's quite a nice side effect of embedding AI into your agency. It forces you to map exactly what the process is. Yeah. In that process, you can see some of the pain points, what good output looks like. Once that's in the system can teach new employees as well. So it's nice it's a way of systemizing. And I think ultimately Standout we're very much a fan of systems in our work, because it helps founder control, of course, which I'm sure you've got many things to say about that as you go through the wheel.
Well, that's one of the reasons why standstill agencies are often at a standstill, because we've reached, pick a figure, but £1 million revenue very successfully, and that would still run a successful business at that sort of level in this case. Yeah. But they're at a plateau because they need to change how they work. What get the phrase what's got you here doesn't necessarily get you there to the next phase. Yeah. And you can build an agency up to £1 million on the back of the owner's sweat and toil and nous, with some help from the team. Yeah. But to get it further than that, you need to be more systemised. That's a big part of that systemization process is a big part of growth for agencies. It's a huge part of AI, of course, or deploying AI in any business, but in our case, agencies, because without systems, without clear processes, without data, you can't easily deploy AI or deploy it effectively to help you systemize the business even more. So
completely.
Yeah. So the Standout system is now 8 pillars. As I say, it's on the website, weareagentsofchange.com. The pillars are very simple. They're the 8 elements of what an agency business operates on. So there's sales and marketing for the S of Standout. There's team and culture and leadership for the T. There's ambition for having a plan and a vision for the future. There's numbers for the finances, obviously. There's development, which represents client development and retention, hugely important and often overlooked as in a task in itself. Keeping clients happy is a motivation for most people, of course, but developing them, growing them, very important. So that's the D. O is operations, so things like systemization.
Yep.
U is uniqueness, so positioning and differentiation. And of course T is technology. So we sort of added in technology in this book was within the operations side, so process in the book, but because of AI and how be focused on utilizing AI and adopting and working with AI. Now we split out technology to cover technology and AI as the T and step.
Yeah, great. And just while you were saying that, it made me think of the amount of times I've explained that to friends, family and clients. I feel like I might be one of the quickest people in the world at saying the acronym titles.
Yeah.
Probably time it, and I'd get that done very quick. It's almost ingrained within my subconscious now, and it's good because that's why acronyms are so good, isn't it? You can, it's for us, we work with it all the time, but for clients and people learning it, it helps people remember that system better.
You thought I was going to forget one, didn't you?
I thought I was going to chip in and be the prodigy.
No, I wrote it.
The apprentice outshines the master. Not quite yet. But
no, maybe so.
I was ready to help you out if you needed it.
So the Standout system, off the back of Standstill versus Standout, the principles behind Standout or Die.
Yeah, great. Perhaps in a different video we'll see the AI side of things, but that is the core idea is that AI makes those stronger. It's almost like an outer ring on the system itself, rather than it being a standalone initiative. I think one of my core philosophies is that AI amplifies the strength of the existing system. The system is strong, which Standout will get for you, which is our whole thing, then that's where you want to be. And AI can make those processes quicker once they've been established and controlled and systemized from the get-go.
Yeah, totally. So the idea of this framework, this system is to, if we haven't got this across already, is to the 8 levers of them, pillars of the agency business. Some people are very good at some of those levers. Some people are incredibly good at two of those levers, but very poor at some of the others. Some people are lagging behind on most of those levers, even though they're running a good business. So the idea is to identify that, and in our advisory work, that's what we do first, and identify where the strengths are, but also where the weaknesses are, mainly, and our business is to focus on the weaknesses to improve them ultimately. So focusing on the weaknesses and of which pillar is the weakest, and then how we can improve that pillar to improve the whole business, to make the business a standout agency amongst a sea of standstill agencies. Not the only standout agency in the world, probably. There are many good businesses, but our business is about, we're in the business of building businesses. We're in the business of improving agencies. There are patterns, there are themes, there are obvious areas that usually occur and work on sales and marketing. We've already touched upon that is usually a weakness for most agencies.
Yeah.
Technology, I would argue, particularly in the age of AI, few of us are ahead in that area. Most people are behind. Some people are much further behind than others. So Callum's in the business of helping everybody that wants to some help in that area, but particularly the people that feel that they are lagging behind a little bit more.
We'd like to think we're somewhat advanced in that stage, at least
I think so.
for advisors, and that's kind of the meta analogy.
Yeah.
We're strengthening our uniqueness
Yes. Yeah.
by having a differentiated service
Yeah.
of me coming in and doing AI.
Yeah.
And I never had my doubts of the system, of course, but in my first initial client interactions, I saw that it was very much operations, technology, and team. These were the three that stood out the most. And I was thinking, do I just take a section of this framework and then go from there, focus on the three? In a way, that's the same philosophy that we have about focus. It's like, do I master all 8, or am I the best at the 3?
Yeah.
Anyway, that was quickly humbled with that, and the experience shined, because the more clients I brought on, some had a major strength in uniqueness, whereas others, it was the complete worst. Client development had never come up until I worked with a media planning agency, and it was at the top of the priority list to AI enhance. And so all of them have their unique ways of interacting. And in that same way, we've even changed the wheel over time of the kind of core levers within the levers themselves. So in the middle of the framework, where growth, profit, and control are the 3 main outcomes that we help agencies with. We've had a quadrant as well at one point, where it was innovation and delivery, and so this is just an example of the wheel inventing. We've landed on core 3: profitability, sustainability, and scalability. I had it. There we go. And so
most agency owners come to me and ultimately to you more focused in what they talk to you about, but most agency owners come to me with, we're not making enough money. I'm working like a dog here, and I don't really see the benefit of it anymore, if I ever have financially, even though I own the business and we're doing well. So I want more profit. Some people want to grow, so we're at that plateau. I need to grow. I'm not making any money, but I need to grow. Or I am making a reasonable amount of money, but I want to make more. I want to add to the business, and build it. And some people are in a different place. They're sort of saying, you know what, we make a decent amount of money. We're quite busy, but it's killing me. It's everything. Every decision that is made in this agency comes back to me as the founder, and I'm even involved. Some people are even though they're the founder of and an owner of a 15-person agency, they're still the founder, often involved, if not certainly in all their decisions, but sometimes even in some of the delivery work. So those 3 motivations, those 3 problems, sometimes people come and talk to me about one of them, and then I help them to realise that maybe that's not really the issue. So the key common example of that is growth. People go, we want to grow, because if we grow, we're not making a lot of money at the moment, and if we grow, we're going to make more. And I was like, no, that's not always the case with an agency business. You know, if you're not making money now on the work you've got, that's really, if you double it, doesn't mean to say you're going to make double the money.
In a way, the bigger the agency gets, the more pressure and responsibility. So if agencies are struggling at a lower client base and revenue sort of area, then the more that they grow, it's going to be even harder to control, which is why sustainability is something that...
so sustainability control.
And there's nuance within each pillar. So for example, profitability, productization is one of the levers that one of the areas that you might delve into, making better and more attractive products. There's things such as systemization.
Rather than just offering a service, offering a systemization and systemizing it so that there's a productized services, not necessarily products, of course.
Of course,
Productization as in productized services, to make things easier, to make things simpler, systemized, to make things more to make your work more profitable, because you're doing, you're not starting from scratch with a blank piece of paper every time. So lots of different reasons, but those are the core 3 problems. We use the STANDOUT agency system and the 8 levers within it to help us diagnose and investigate those problems, what lies beneath them, as it were, and so some of the results are common, some of the results are a little bit surprising.
To practice what we preach in terms of having control and systemizing, we then use that operating model to keep track of our clients, and it allows us to understand where the different strengths and weaknesses lie, and allows us to effectively plan ahead. And The goal is to maximize all 8.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Yeah.
Would you say that is there a priority, would you say, out of the levers, is one the most important, or do they all interact nicely together?
That's a question.
I guess, as everything in life, it depends on the context.
Yeah.
How about £1 million revenue is a common area that an agency would be in once they've reached the millionaire status within the business?
Yeah, revenue, yeah.
What would you say one of the misunderstood pillars is in terms of what area they should be focusing on but don't?
Yeah.
And maybe the other way around, the thing that they are focusing on but shouldn't yet.
Yeah. So again, another good question. You're testing me today. So £1 million revenue, often there is a weakness usually in those businesses in sales and marketing, despite them hitting that revenue.
Yeah.
There is often, not always, but often they've got to that level through recommendations and referrals, through doing a good job, through having some having some clients that became large clients for them, and all that's good, and all that's all well and good. But the revenue generation, new client acquisition engine, outside of the founder and their relationships, certainly in their network, which is often is a powerful thing for this. But the engine outside of that is often missing, is often very poor. So that's a key priority on that lever, sales and marketing.
And I would say that it's capped in the degree, like you said there, with founders' time.
Yeah, founders' time, yeah.
So if they're basing their whole kind of sales and marketing model around referrals, which is great because it shows you're doing a good job, people obviously are spreading the word about how good your agency is. That relies on the founder and their network to them constantly replying to emails and going out and upselling and cross-selling. It's not something where it can scale indefinitely. The founder has to involve their time in order for that sales to be a thing.
And usually deploying it as an engine, a functioning process has been missed, even though they got to £1 million. They've done it through hard work and endeavour and they're putting, but it's networking and winning work and doing a good job and all that stuff.
To push past that next filter,
you need that.
You need something else on top of that.
Yeah.
My other question was a part of the Standout system that people are perhaps putting an overemphasis on, and they should perhaps take a step back. And it's always good. We want all 8 pillars to be strong, but maybe it can take a bit too much time up at this level. So what would you say that is?
I think that's a great question, and I'm going to answer it. You're going to think this is a very bizarre answer and on first glance, but I think it's probably team.
Interesting.
People.
Yeah.
And I say that because people are, of course, at 0 revenue, 1 million revenue, 10 million revenue. In an agency, people are fundamental to the business, a people-based business.
Yeah.
But I say that because what people are emphasizing, spending too much time on, worrying about people, recruiting people, onboarding people,
controlling people, managing
people. Yeah. And it's overemphasis because it's often done in the old way. It's done in the way that worked when you're a 3 or 4 person business.
Yeah.
And it's not systemized. There's no process in there. It's the founder answering all the questions so it's overemphasized and over focused on. But they need to do some more work on it because it's actually the operations, the process side. They need to put some processes in to say, I need to look after my people.
Yeah.
I need to be there for them if they've got a problem and help, and they need some support and they want to ask me a question. But I can't run this like I'm running, like I've run this business up to now. I need to run it.
Yeah. I guess instead of there being a sort of overbearing level of control, it's about trust in a way. As the business grows, you've hired the people, you've trained them, and you've developed success with them at that revenue range.
Totally, yeah.
It's about trusting them to go off and do the work as you would.
And accountability.
Accountability. Being there to help people when they need to be, but not in a way that's overbearing.
Yeah. Cool.
Great.
Yeah. So that was the first episode, I think, is here to wrap up.
Yeah.
We've done it. As a way of starting out, it was a sort of introduction to the principles of the book, the principles explained in the book Standout or Die, in terms of Standstill and Standout agencies, and a bit of a whistle-stop tour of the model that now we work with in that Standout agency principle to try and help people get to that, use that sort of thought to get to being in a place where they're a better business and a standout agency. So the standout agency system, the 8 levers, bit of a whistle stop reasonably well, and we've touched upon AI, of course, as well.
When people are curious about what we mean about standout, we now have a video to direct them to.
We certainly do.
Because we've had a discussion about that.
Yeah, great. So if we can certainly do that, but also we can say www.weareagentsofchange.com, quite a long URL, but that's our website, and there's more on there about that on blog posts as well. So if you're interested, check that out, or get in touch if you've got any questions.
Great. And as we said at the beginning, it's my goal to get past some of these hurdles and statistics of podcasts as time goes on. So bit of social pressure. We'll see you next week with a new topic.
Absolutely. Next week. Wow.
Yeah. Right.
Thanks, Callum.
Yeah. Thanks, Gareth. Thanks for listening.